Okay, good. I have two kind people here that will translate, and will translate the questions back. I will try to speak slowly and also keep the terminology simple. Cool, so I'm Mike Baddeley. I do, for those in the droid building community, I design a lot of 3D printed droids. This, I think, is actually this is the best example that I've seen of one of my prints. It's finished beautifully. I think this is the version 2, V2. Yeah, so this is version 2. So what I wanted to do is to come and speak about some of the 3D designs, some of the problems with printing, and also some of the things that we've got coming forward.
Bueno, para los que no conozcáis a este señor, a Michael Baddeley, este tío es un gurú en la impresión 3D y en el tema del R2, que ha hecho varias versiones. How many versions have you done of the
I've done three versions of R2, and then 10 domes and...
Vale, ha hecho 10 versiones de los domos, es la tercera versión que lleva del R2. Estos planos son de la versión R2, los ha mejorado todavía. Este R2 es de este señor de aquí adelante de Santander, que es una máquina pintando, y bueno, nos va a explicar un poco los procedimientos que utiliza para diseñar, para luego...
Good. So, what we'll do is first a little bit about 3D printing. I think 3D printing has completely changed the way that we manufacture and create props. It's changed the way that we build, and all of these robots that we can see here are 3D printed. This one in particular is a 3D printed R2-D2 that they launched on a rocket. We need more of those. And of course we've got Dio. There's lots and lots of things, lots and lots there. A guy called James Bruton, if anybody follows him on YouTube, who did wonderful R6 there as a skeleton.
Sí, un R2 que han diseñado para lanzarlo desde un cohete.
James Bruton es otra persona también que se dedica también a las impresiones en 3D.
And as you know, there are literally hundreds of builders clubs for every conceivable droid in Star Wars, along with virtually every other robot there is in the science fiction world.
Hay cientos de grupos de makers de todos los props que hay de Star Wars y de otro tipo de robots, que hay cientos de grupos por toda la...
And I design any of those really, so I love the BD1, which is the new one that I'm designing. The Dio is another favourite. I've done an R2, so I work across all of the designs really.
Vale, bueno, que todos esos diseños son suyos y que hablaremos de todos los diseños que hace y que está haciendo actualmente, que está diseñando el nuevo droide de la película.
So in 3D printing there's two main drivers. There's the printing technology, the type of printers, and then there's the printing material, which is the actual filament or material that we use.
Tan importante es la impresora que utilizas para imprimir como el tipo de material que imprimes.
Now, at the moment we've got two main technologies. So there's what's called FDM, which is fused deposit modelling, which is the melted plastic, and then there's SLA, which is the resin printers. There are probably about another 3 or 4 technologies that are not available to us as builders because of patents. So there's a company called Stratasys who hold a lot of 3D printing patents, and once they expire, then new technologies come to us as builders. There is one called Polyjet, which is a inkjet technology that puts resin down and then cures it in ultraviolet light. Effectively, it's a 3D inkjet printer, and that's due to patent to expire in the next couple of years. That will change how we print. That's fantastic technology.
Actualmente hay 2 tecnologías de impresión, las que están disponibles para el público en general, que es la deposición de hilo, que yo creo que son las que tenemos la mayoría, y las de resina. Que hay muchas más tecnologías, pero que no están disponibles para el público debido a las patentes. Entonces, a medida que esas patentes van expirando, van saliendo al mercado y están disponibles. Que actualmente dice que hay una patente muy interesante que va a expirar dentro de un par de años, que es una tecnología de inyección de tinta, que va depositando resina como si fuera una impresora de tinta. Entonces, yo creo que es una mezcla de las 2 tecnologías, de deposición de hilo, pero en vez de fundir hilo, lo que va haciendo es poner capas de resina y las va curando según las va poniendo. Y es una tecnología que estará disponible dentro de un par de años y que dice que volverá a cambiar la forma de imprimir cosas.
And what's exciting about the inkjet technology is it does everything that you can do with traditional inkjet. You can actually mix the materials to create hard, semi-soft or very soft, and you can mix colours to print full colour prints. So when that technology comes out, it will change the way we do things.
Cuando la patente expire, esté disponible, que cambiará la forma de lo que podemos entender muy bien.
Que se podrá hacer, it can be hard for even soft. Que podrá ser mucho más dura o más blanda, dependiendo y se puede mezclar incluso colores,
Yeah, very exciting. As it stands today, there's no perfect 3D printing. It all has challenges with it. I just want to talk through some of the good things and some of the not so good things around 3D printing. The first few things, first of all, 3D printing, the technology is constantly changing and it's getting better and better and better, and cheaper, more importantly. We can create anything that we can imagine. We can create custom gears, custom parts that previously we would have had to machine or would have been outside of what we manufacture. I'll just go through these. The other great thing is, if any parts break, we can just reprint them. So we have an unlimited supply of spare parts, really, by 3D printing. We can easily...
Lo que está explicando es que cada vez la tecnología en 3D está avanzando más y más. No solamente hace acabados mucho mejores, sino que además se está abaratando en el precio. Y que incluso en el caso de que alguna pieza no haya salido bien, se puede volver a imprimir, con lo cual el proceso es constante y se puede mejorar y evolucionar.
So more is, obviously we can easily create anything that we can imagine. It's also very easy to share designs. So a lot of the designs that I do, I also give people access to the source designs so they can remix, they can change, they can improve them to effectively evolve. So it means that as a community we can work closer together.
Sí, que comparte los planos y permite que la gente los mejore.
Claro,
entonces
es como un feedback
va evolucionando.
para que todos se beneficien de eso.
And as we manufacture, it's actually very little work to make parts. You press the button, you leave it overnight, and you come back to a spare part or a big pile of spaghetti.
Sí, que con un poco de suerte el proceso tan sencillo como darle al botón, irse a dormir y cruzar los dedos para que al día siguiente, cuando veas la impresora, te encuentres la pieza hecha y no te encuentres todo el hilo por ahí suelto y que se ha salido del sitio.
The other thing, as I've noticed when we've been doing the designs, is it now makes parts for R2s available to all regions in the world. Historically, we've had runs in the States, in USA, and in Germany or in the odd country, but now the whole globe can access the spare parts. And the final thing that I quite like is they're very lightweight, so you can pick them up. They're not the aluminium 200-pound beasts that destroy small children.
That can be an advantage.
Literalmente pesa un poco por comparación con haberlo impreso en aluminio, entonces sería
Es
una ventaja poder llevarse algún inconveniente.
And in Spain, you live taser us as well, don't you, for children? We're not allowed to do that in the UK, so it's good. Some of the drawbacks. So, slow. It is a slow process. On the Mark III, which we've now got big printers, so to print a dome in one piece takes about 9 days. To print a body in 3 pieces takes about 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3
of
weeks.
Working?
Of printing.
In printing.
Yeah, so 2 days, 5 days, 4 days.
Sí, que las principales contras es el tiempo que el dome suyo, la versión del Mark III, está imprimiendo 9 días seguidos imprimiendo en una pieza. Y el cuerpo, que lo tiene dividido en 3 partes, 3 semanas imprimiendo. Con las
Easy to fix, you buy more printers.
Claro.
Okay.
Compras más impresoras y menos tiempo de impresión.
Yeah. It's unreliable. Everybody who's 3D printed has printed this model. It's not available on Thingiverse. It just appears.
So many times.
Yeah. So many times. There isn't any perfect material to print with, filament. There's various types. All of them have drawbacks at the moment. The finishing time is painful. Sanding, spraying, filling, sanding, spraying.
Sí, que otro de los problemas principales es el acabado del material, que tienes que meter horas de lijado, imprimación, volver a lijar para dejarlo perfecto como este señor que nos está amargando la existencia. Porque claro, ha traído uno de los mejores, this is one of the best R2 printed R2 I've seen, and it's awful.
It is.
You cannot bring that here.
27 years of sounding.
27 años de lijado.
That's it, yeah, it's a team of people. Very steep and very frustrating to learn 3D printing. Just when you think you've got everything working, you go straight back to the beginning again, so the learning curve is quite difficult.
Es un proceso muy complicado el aprendizaje, muy frustrante, porque cuando crees que lo tienes todo controlado, la persona vuelve a fallar, no sabes por qué y tienes que volver al principio.
And finally, I think warping and calibrating the size of your printers is a challenge because as things get bigger, tolerances get tighter.
Claro, uno de los problemas al imprimir piezas tan grandes es la calibración. El problema de calibrar piezas tan grandes es que te puede fallar en cualquier momento. No es lo mismo calibrar una pieza pequeña que calibrar la impresora para una pieza de este tamaño.
And the most common used filament, which is PLA, the frustrating thing with that is the extremely temperature sensitive. In the UK it's very cold, we don't worry about that, but in Australia and Spain where you've got the sun, you you can melt R2. Yeah.
Sí, que son muy sensibles a la temperatura. En Inglaterra no tienen problemas porque es un clima muy frío, pero que aquí con la temperatura sufre mucho. De hecho, ya hay compañeros que se le han combado las piezas y se han derretido. Yeah.
So, a little bit about how I started. I got a 3D printer and I printed things from Thingiverse, and then I wanted to design something.
Va a hablar un poco de sus orígenes.
So, I chose to design the head of R2-D2 because it's half a ball, so it must be very, very, very easy to design.
Claro, que eligió diseñar la cabeza del R2 porque es una semiesfera y que eso es muy fácil de diseñar.
Apparently. And I didn't know the R2-D2 builders groups existed. I designed the R2 dome. I shared it onto Thingiverse, and then I was hit by thousands of enthusiastic lunatics from across the globe who said this is wonderful because it's the hardest thing on the R2 to fabricate, unless you can make out wood, plastic. The dome you can't do. Followed by telling me how inaccurate my model was and what millimeters needed to change and what angles needed to alter.
Bueno, empezó a diseñar el DOM, pues eso, como una media circunferencia y lo difundió, ¿no?
Lo colgó en Thingiverse y que dice que según lo colgó que recibió miles de respuestas de lunáticos de todo el mundo que le decían que estaba genial, que era fenomenal porque no había archivos disponibles, pero también le decían lo inexacto que era el DOM, que fallaba en milímetros, que tal, y que le volvían locos.
So now I know very accurate R2-D2s.
Entonces ahora que sabe las medidas exactas del R2.
So on Thingiverse, I met a chap from the USA when I started to publish these things, who told me it would be impossible to 3D print a full R2-D2 because 3D printing wouldn't actually stand up to the strain of it moving around. And that's why I started on creating the R2 literally with everything, every single part in there printed, including the drive systems and actually the battery cables as well.
Sí, que iba a ser casi imposible.
Porque no, la impresora no se adaptaría a todas las piezas. Entonces lo que ha calibrado es que lo hace
que decidió algo imprimir.
He was a really big American and he could ride his R2-D2. He could sit on it and ride it around. So yeah, he's got a point when it comes to mine. So very fortunate, joined the R2-D2 Builders Club. In the UK we've got a very, very large and very strong following. We're very, very lucky because we've got Oliver Steeples and Lee Towersley who made the R2s for the new films. We have Pinewood Studios and Shepperton, and so we've got quite a history of R2 builders which I was in awe of, so meeting these kind of guys, which was fantastic. So, and then as we start to meet more people across both the UK, Europe and the States, it's a really lovely community. Everybody's nice and supportive.
Sí, que se unió a la comunidad de R2 y que esa comunidad en Inglaterra estaba muy implementada y porque tiene a Shepperton, el chiquillo de Nemer, Pinewood, que tienen, bueno, aparte las películas se rodaron allí y que tiene una comunidad de constructores de R2 muy importante.
So this is where I started. James Bruton is this guy here. He's on YouTube. Many of you may follow him. If you don't, he's very, very, very clever. He's very good friends with Matt Denton, who does BB-8, does the control systems for a lot of the movies. And he inspired me with his R6 that he'd 3D printed. So the first one that I did was a modified version of the R6. James had created that in very much a traditional build, which is a frame with a skin. So then when I moved on to version 2, I thought I can get rid of the frame or a lot of it because the skin actually can be made part of the structure. And then version 3 was when we started to use much bigger printers. So the evolution of R2 was really, from my ones, have gone from traditional to one that's got hundreds of parts on, to one that's now printed on really big printers.
Bueno, básicamente explica que allí están las tres versiones que ha habido.
Sí,
desde el primero al segundo, que todavía tenía el frame, que sería como el...
Sí. La versión 2 imprimía por un lado el frame, el marco, y por otro lado la piel. Sí, va todo unido. El frame, el marco y la piel es una sola pieza, simplifica los procesos. Y el señor James Bruton es el que le ayudó en sus inicios.
Good.
Yeah.
Even though I'm speaking English, you all seem to understand me, so that's really good.
Yeah, I think so, I believe so.
And I think these are some of the pictures from the guys that are building the droids out there. People that built the version 2 is literally hundreds of parts all kind of stuck together. Version 3 is a little bit simpler because you're printing it virtually as a single piece. I have been asked to do the whole body. This is the whole body as a single print, which is possible, but it's probably 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks of printing with no power cuts, no failures. So just designing it scares me, let alone printing it. But if anybody's stupid enough to want to do that, let me know.
Bueno, ahí tenemos fotos de las diferentes versiones y de cómo han ido evolucionando. La versión del medio, la de abajo, es la versión 2, que se compone de muchas piezas, y la derecha del todo es la versión Mark III, que es una sola pieza. Y que tiene miedo de diseñar el cuerpo entero, porque pueden ser más de 3 semanas imprimiendo sin ningún tipo de fallo, pero que si hubiera algún loco que quisiera probarlo, que lo diseñaría.
Okay. Dave. And these are just some of the prints that we've now of people that are printing this around the world. We've got around about 4,200 people that are part of the printed group, if you like. So it's quite scary the amount of people that are printing these, and there's well over 300 to 400 droids that I know of that are printing off that design. So yeah.
Y que en la comunidad suya de impresión hay más de 4.200 personas alrededor del mundo, y que hay más de 400 droides con sus archivos.
So yeah, it's been, for me, it's been a really exciting journey. There might be a printed dome in the next movie. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway.
No, talk about that.
I can't now. I'll point it out after December when it's been.
Que después de diciembre nos dará una noticia. Supongo que estará implicado en la peli nueva que van a robar, bueno, que van a estrenar en este episodio.
I think as many of you know, a lot of the droids that are in the background of the movies are from the Builders Club, so they do pull people in. So Rogue One, I think there was probably about 10 or 12 different droids from different builders, and the likes of Mike Senna, Michael McMasters, Lee, and all of the Builders Club Center.
Sí, que en las películas últimas, los droides que salen de fondo, en Rogue One también salen 10 o 12 droides que son de constructores ingleses. De hecho, en Rogue One, the R2 unit that appears in the last movies are from the UK builders.
Yes.
The last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, a lot of the main ones are obviously owned by Disney. It's the ones that you see in the background that are moving around in there.
Sí, bueno, pertenecen a Disney, pero han sido diseñados por los miembros del club inglés de Droides.
But it does mean that I think as a builders community we have a very unique relationship with Disney, with Lucasfilm, and with a lot of the charities that they support, which is fantastic.
Sí que tiene.
Están muy vinculados con Disney, con Creación, obviamente
que afectan a la calidad de la impresión de la pieza, que además es muy importante, es cómo se pega la pieza a la cama, de forma que no tengas el warping, que no se despegue. Entonces, él usa mucho el líquido, es el 3D Lab, que es una laca sin olor, que yo creo que los que tenemos impresora lo usamos casi todos. Luego también el brim, que es lo que tiene el perrito, es la falda que tiene abajo, que imprime una capa sobre la base y luego imprime la pieza, la imprime encima de esa capa de soporte. Y luego los helper discs que os ha señalado, que están a la izquierda de todo, que son unos discos pequeñitos que se ponen en ciertas zonas de la pieza para evitar que se despegue, para poder despegarlo y para evitar que se despegue la pieza según empiece.
So yeah, I've been printing now about 7 years, and I don't really get failed prints at all. So most of my prints come out exactly as I want them to. But it's because I use this and I use these, and I think about how the orientation, and it's all of that experience that, you know, you eventually get to a point where it does become quite reliable. I put some findings really with the different filaments on there. I won't go through them all to show you, but what I will, but you can read through these from PLA, ABS, what the pluses and what the negatives are for each one.
Va a hacer una pequeña comparativa de los filamentos de los que he hablado antes, los pros y los contras que he tenido.
And preparing for painting, one of the things that's kind of transformed our lives, certainly in the UK, is Motip spray putty. This stuff is amazing, to the point that the supplier in the UK, there's 2 or 3 on eBay, and somebody who ships it out, the price has now doubled. When it comes into stock, it comes up on the group and then it's out of stock again. I've got about 48 cans of this in my shed, but this stuff is amazing because you don't sand it at all. You spray it with this, you do 4 or 5 sprays of this, and then you sand. So it'll take me 30 minutes to sand to finish a dome once I've sprayed it with that, as opposed to 6 or 7 hours like it used to do. And it really is fantastic product. From the Netherlands, I know you can get it in Belgium, so I'm not sure whether it's available in Spain, but I know it's mainland Europe.
What's the brand of the...
It's called Motip
yeah.
Spray Putty.
Well, the brand Motip is available here, but I don't know if the spray putty is available.
It's a bit like filler primer, but it's got a thicker consistency, but it keeps the detail, so you don't lose any of the lines.
Hay stock para ello, desaparece en segundos porque todo el mundo lo compra. Y que él aplica eso sobre el DOM, it only takes you half an hour to sand it. Entonces solamente tarda media hora en poder lijarlo y pulirlo por completo, mientras que sin eso tardaría unas 6 o 6 horas.
It's not as good as that though.
Rellena el spray putty, lo que hace es rellenar las líneas de impresión de la impresora y te evita horas de lijado. De que le metes 3 o 4 capas, pega una lijada y tienes el dome ya listo. Es una masilla en spray, y lo bueno que dice que la diferencia con el filler primer es el aparejo que hay aquí, que la diferencia es que el spray putty es más gordito, pero que además mantiene los detalles de la pieza. Es una masilla de una vez, se permite aplicarlo.
It's about £3.50 in the UK, £3, so it's about €3 now.
Yeah. Each can.
Each can, yeah.
In UK, 3.50 cada chip.
Until Brexit, and then...
It's not expensive.
I had to say Brexit at some point. Yeah, so I think for me that's an overview of 3D printing. Hints and tips. I will share these slides because there's some detail in there. If you've got any questions at all that you need to ask me, I'll be around today, and I'm always online. And I do respond fairly quickly. just wanted to share some of the latest projects that I'm playing with. This BD1, which is out of the new game that's released in about a week, I think, Fallen Jedi. This is probably one of my favourite little design and builds. Two-legged, it stands up. It's got a fully kind of left, right, up, down 360 type head on there, and it's now completed. I'm actually interviewing the guy who built this for the launch at D23 over in the States. I had a message off Mike Senner as well. They wanted to steal these for another project. So this has been a very popular little fella. It's got 10, 11 servos in there, lights, quite complex one, but a really quite nice build. Dio, we're getting quite old now. But this I think we completed about 5 months ago to get him rolling, and then since then we've started to collaborate with Matt Denton. So Matt's took the Dio skins, the designs that I've created, and he's creating his own mechanism inside for that to roll, because he can't do any Star Wars modelling because of his NDAs with Lucasfilm, but what he can do is take other designs and create them. So I'm very excited and honoured that Matt's kind of building that, but he puts my Dio to shame. So at the next event that we're going to, I'm going to get my Dio a grey beard so he can move around.
Hablando de los proyectos pasados y presentes en los que está haciendo, y ahora está hablando del Dio ese que aparecía moviéndose suyo y que colabora con Mark Denton, que yo no le conozco. Debe ser un tío que tiene acuerdo con Lucasfilm y no puede diseñar nada relacionado con Star Wars, y por eso él colabora con él y van a hacer colaboración. Y what's the name of the
BD1.
El BD1, BD1, que tiene 13 servos, que es lo último en lo que está trabajando. 13 servos.
Yeah, so it's and that's
bueno, eso, que la presentación que ha hecho y que la va a colgar en su drive, en sus redes, y que bueno, cualquier pregunta que tengamos que las contesta, y que si tenemos alguna pregunta, si alguien quiere preguntarle algo, que
we've got about 15 minutes of questions and then
15 minutos de preguntas si tiene alguna duda. No questions?
no questions?
Good teacher.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Robert, una pregunta.
Una pregunta, one question.
Sí, es que ahora se me ha cortado el cable. El putting que usa, yo lo uso, pero lo uso en líquido.
Sí.
Con el spray, ¿qué diferencia puede haber? Porque el líquido, así no quieras que no, también es muy líquido, tapa, pero no mata mucho el relieve. ¿Cómo puede quedar con...?
Porque tú haces de
Wargames, hago miniaturas y todo eso, sí.
She uses liquid putty instead of the spray. What's the difference between the... Have you used liquid putty?
I haven't, no. I think the difference is the size, the dome. So
vale, que no ha usado el líquido, pero que él cree que la diferencia fundamental que el spray en putty es por el tamaño de superficie imprimida, pero que en principio es el mismo material.
Vale, sí, porque ahora, así como estoy haciendo, pues cosas en 3D, pistolas de V, tal y demás, para rellenar.
Pero para pistolas
de
igual sí con el spray.
Más fácil, sí, pero en caso de que, como que es difícil de que lo pone a la venta, en 2 segundos se acaba.
Claro, pero es que ese es el problema. This is a hard material to find on site, on the web. Sí, que sale con cuentagotas, que es complicado.
Por eso decía, si esto es tal, como que aquí es fácil encontrarlo en el líquido, pues...
En España, el spray putty, yo no sé si alguien habrá comprado aquí en España el spray putty, yo lo que compro es el aparejo. El spray we have available very easy, the filler, the primer, not the spray putty.
Yes, the spray putty. The problem is it's flying aerosols.
airframe, aerosol, silicon. That's why it's difficult to ship out. El problema que es las regulaciones que tiene cada país porque son aerosoles. Ok.
Hola.
Ok, gracias chavales.